This is the Oregon Fan Show on Fan Media Network.
How sweet it is to still be talking Oregon basketball. Welcome into the Oregon Fan Show alongside Tyler Petersen and Juwaan Williams. I'm TJ Brassel, and I know we're only 2 episodes in. We already have our first guest host of the season, Oregon legend and former two-sport athlete, JLoyd. Johnathan Loyd, thank you for joining the show, man.
Hey, thanks for having me, man. I love that I'm the first guest too. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. So before we even get into like the women's game that happened today and previewing the men's and stuff, I mean, you were at Oregon pre-Kelly Graves era, and then when he came onto campus, and you've kind of got to see that transition into like the national prominence that the Oregon women's team is now at. Like, what has that transition been like for you?
Oh man, we had one of the greatest female basketball players at our school, so I simply call Sabrina the GOAT every time I see her. I give my praise. But we also had a lot of great women when I was there too, and they just couldn't put it together. A lot of injuries, so I feel for them as well. But like I say, it's been special seeing the rise, and I feel like just as a collective whole, when it comes to Oregon sports, we've been elevated to that upper echelon. So it's love.
No, that's a great point you made, and to that extent, you were there pre Kelly Graves, and you were there with Dana Altman as well. Could you just speak to your time with Dana as well as what you saw or what you see in today's game with Kelly?
Dana was easily, one of my favorite coaches of all time. And I say that because he takes what he has and he makes it work no matter what it is, So that in itself is something so special. Like, he knows how to adjust with players. He knows, he does his homework. He delegates to his assistant coaches as well. So, he's very humble, and he doesn't have that. He's not led by that ego like so many of us, So that in itself, I tip my hat to Coach Altman. And Coach Graves, I've only interacted with him, kind of outside of the court, but I've watched him coach, and I love his intensity and his care for his players. He's there putting his players through workouts. He's there waking up early and making sure everybody's good. So the things that Coach Graves has done is just it makes sense that he elevated our program to where it is now.
Now, last episode, you were talking about how the Oregon women's team, their first game, they went with the 2 bigs, and you were like, if they do that again, I'm feeling good about their chances for this next game. And I guess Coach Graves must have been listening or something, because that's what they did. And I mean, in the fourth quarter, minus a few free throws by Taylor Mikesell, like Sabally and Sedona Prince scored all of their points. Like, this is going for everyone here. What do you guys like? They take on Louisville in the next round now. Like, how do you guys see that game going? Like, what do you guys think they have to do to be able to pull that out and go to the Elite Eight?
I'm going to stand on the soapbox here and say we need Sabally to be the point forward on everything. And I need more Sedona Prince. I feel like if she can get her Adela Donne one-step floater in the lane, or that fadeaway that she has, that's automatic. She's 6'7". Sabally is 6'2", 6'3". We can use that length to our advantage and just bully Louisville Cardinals into the Elite Eight.
Can I just say, it was just an awesome game to watch. TJ, I was texting you during that game, and I was like, hey, man, this is such a great game. And you text back, I'm so stressed out right now. Which was awesome. But, hey, you know what? We've wondered sort of how Oregon would look against these upper echelon teams. Georgia was a 3 this year. Story of the season really was Oregon beat all the teams they should have. And then the Stanford, UCLA, Arizona, those were 6 losses, and those were very good teams. So against the 3, I wanted to see how they looked, and they looked really good. Prince and Sabally, 37 between them. But Georgia, as much as of a great season they've had, I think last year they were about 9th in the SEC. Mm-hmm. So it's a whole different story with Louisville, who has a ton of pedigree. I don't know that they can get the job done against Louisville. we'll have to see. But I think Juwaan's on the right track. It's got to go through Prince and Sabali.
Bold statement right there, huh?
No,
I like
voice
the
of
honesty.
reasoning.
I like the honesty. But all I gotta say is if we kind of put the reins on Haley Van Lith, I think her name is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We kind of control her, and I think we'll be straight.
Yeah, Tyler's here to keep us in check, make sure we don't go too over the top with with all the excitement of Oregon. But I mean, before we get on to the men's, like this women's team, I was looking up with Sabrina's freshman year, and I mean, when you compare those two teams, like they're kind of eerily similar at this point, where like they were both really young with a couple of vets, and they both made these late kind of these deep postseason runs. I believe Sabrina and that team that her freshman year went to the Elite Eight. Yeah. If Oregon pulls this one out, like Johnathan, with what you saw with that team, with Sabrina's freshman year and what you've seen so far this year with this team, like what kind of comparisons can you make, or if any at all?
I think that is a great comparison. I think that they need that, like Juwaan said, they need that point forward, that's gonna take the playmaking responsibility, because we have shooters, so we have to have that person that's gonna be in attack mode, like Sabrina was 24/7 and making the right play, and when need be, put the team on your back. It's March. That's what needs to happen sometimes.
Absolutely.
I mean, say one thing before we transition to other topic. I think with Pow Pow in the lineup, it's a different story. The offense will look completely different, but we're still sort of just waiting for her to come back. I know Graves said earlier it would take a deep run to get her back on the court. I don't know how much longer they can wait, because even if they do get past Louisville, the matchup after that would possibly be number 1 Stanford.
The funny part though is of the 3 like top Pac-12 teams above Oregon, Stanford's the team that I believe they've played the best when they played. Like they almost beat Stanford. Like they didn't almost beat Arizona. They were close in one game with UCLA. Stanford was the one, ironically, that they played the best. But I want to preview a little men's real quick. And Johnathan, when you were saying got to put the team on your back, a little bit about that. I was talking to these guys earlier saying you have, in my opinion, one of the more iconic moments in March when it was in the Pac-12 championship, I believe 2013, when you guys won, and you were standing there going, "This is my city. Like this is my city." I remember that like that was yesterday. But when you look at this team going into the matchup with USC, like what kind of things are you seeing there?
We need to control those bigs. The Mobley brothers, those are 2 real great players, versatile, skilled. So I think we need to make sure we corral them, right? We got to corral them. I think it's different than the Iowa matchup, because when they Iowa had a great big, okay? Iowa had a great big, but then when he'd kick it out, their other players weren't as skilled as these USC guys are in terms of putting the ball on the floor and creating a bucket on their own. So I think our defense is going to be the key in terms of keeping people in front and not letting them have free runs to the basket.
Great point. So what I'm hearing JLoyd saying, he's being real PC. I'll keep it real with him. He's just saying the Midwest can't compete with the West Coast, and it's okay. It's all good. To that point, it's going to be the Mobley and Mobley brothers show. I feel that if Evan is the engine that runs that team, Isaiah is a great skilled big, but Evan is the one we'll have to predicate the defense to and basically stop, because if we stop Evan, limit him to, I'd say 10 or so points, he still can hurt us with his assist and rebounding. He is a double waiting to happen out there on that court. And as soon as he gets everyone else involved, it's easier for them. But if we can put out there a similar strategy to Iowa and let Evan get his, he can go off for 40 as long as no one else touches 10 points. I feel like we can have a good game.
Exactly. And that was the point right there. Like with Iowa, the others wasn't able to create their own shots like the USC others are going to.
That's true.
So that's the difference right there. So when they kick that ball out, we gotta close out and slide our feet, keep people in front.
Now, you've been through some NCAA runs with Dana. Like, what's coach like going through this whole process? Obviously, this one's a little different because they're kind of in a bubble, but I mean, it's still kind of still an NCAA March Madness run.
You know, Coach Altman doesn't really change. He really is who he is, right? How he is in January is basically the same way how he is in March, right? Go out there and you swing away. You do the little things, you defend and you rebound. If you do that, I promise we'll be in a position to win the game. So you got to go out there and swing away. This is verbatim what Coach Altman says to us, by the way. Verbatim.
I love it.
Swing away, man. Just like that. But I would say in March, he's a little less tedious when it comes to the details, right? It's more about get the win, survive in advance, you know, do what you got to do to get the dub. You know, he shortens the playbook a little bit, and he knows what plays each player likes, and he runs those plays for those players, and he puts you in a place to succeed, and he gives you the ultimate confidence. We're running that play for you because I want you to shoot it, so knock it down. Yes, coach.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
No, you love to see it. So, I mean, you were there 4 or 5 years. You played 2 different sports. Is there a teammate that stands out to you that, you know, looking back on your time at the University of Oregon, that you just had a great time with, or even if a coach?
When you say great time, what do you mean?
No, just so.
Okay.
I love it. No, so like, you know, you come in as a freshman, you come in as the 17, 18-year-old kid, and, you know, you might have that one mentor, and then you become the big homie or the big brother of the team. It's like, okay, now I got to return the favor. Was there a teammate or a coach that, you know, took you under his wing and showed you the game, and then, you know, taught you the ways of how to be, you know, the professional?
So when I was a freshman, I came in and I was kind of by myself, right? They didn't have any other recruits. It was just me. So I was really hanging out with all the football players, kicking it with them. But when it came time to practice, walking to practice by myself, walking home by myself. And that was until Nick Lucenti got there. He was a walk-on, but he got there halfway through the summer. And, you know, Nick helped me a lot through the times. Just, you know, being there with me, going through the struggle, just realizing that we don't got this figured out, you know. So Nick, it was definitely a big part of my success and my joy when I was at Oregon. And then on the flip side, when I graduated and I went to the football team, you know, I had a solid group of guys that just helped me out. Juan was one of them. It was Juwaan, JJ, Chuck, Charles Nelson, Kenny Bassett, and Keenan Lowe. You know, those was my dogs, and Jemias, my bad, JJ. And it wasn't like I didn't know how to play ball, but it had been a while. You feel me? And it was just they made the transition so much easier. So that's it for me.
I think Juan just wanted to hear you say, like, yeah, Juwaan was one of my guys. Like, I think that's what he wanted right there. But awesome. Well, thank you for joining the show, man. We really appreciate it.
He was, man. We had some good time.
I don't doubt it. Well, thank you for coming on. Thank you everyone for watching, and we will see you next episode for the Oregon Fan Show.
To host a fan show or appear as a fan on a fan show, simply create a profile on Fan Media's iOS app or website. Select your teams and make a short intro video on your phone. Show hosts, reporters, former players, and superfans can use our Get Verified feature and make an intro video as well, and our mobile newsroom staff will reach out.